The ships came on a Tuesday morning, thousands of them. They blocked the sun over every major city on Earth. People stopped in the streets and looked up. Children pointed at the sky. Old men whispered prayers. The world held its breath. It was the year 2247. Humanity was about to learn that they were not alone in the universe. But this was not the beautiful first contact that dreamers had imagined for centuries. This was something far worse. The largest ship, a massive vessel shaped like a black sword, positioned itself above the Atlantic Ocean. It was bigger than any city on Earth. Its shadow stretched from one horizon to the other. And from this ship, a message came. Every screen on the planet showed the same image. Every phone, every television, every computer displayed the face of High Chancellor Morvac. He was not human. He stood 8 feet tall with 6 limbs and a hard shell covering his body like armor. His eyes were black and empty, like holes in space. When he spoke, his voice was cold and certain. "Species of Earth," he said. "I am High Chancellor Morvac of the Vorath Dominion. We have watched your world for many cycles. We have studied your kind. Today, by the authority of the Dominion Council, I declare that your species is now property of the Vorath Empire. You are classified as Labor Species 7841. You will serve. You will obey. Resistance is not possible." The message ended. Silence fell over the world, in Seoul. Inside a deep underground bunker called Earth Command, Admiral Kong Seok watched the broadcast with his hands behind his back. He was 62 years old with gray hair and a face marked by decades of military service. He had fought in 3 wars. He had seen terrible things, but he had never felt the cold anger that now burned in his chest. "Labor species," he said quietly. "They call us property." Beside him stood Dr. Park Yuna, a woman of 45 with sharp eyes and a brilliant mind. She was the lead scientist of Project Horizon, a secret program that even most world leaders did not know about. She had spent 15 years working on technology that could change everything. "They made a mistake," she said. "They assume we are like the others they conquered." Seok turned to her. "How long until Project Horizon is ready?" 3 months. "Maybe less if we push hard." "Push hard," he said. "Push as hard as you can." Outside, the Vorath landing ships descended. They came down in every country, in every city. Soldiers in black armor marched through the streets. They carried weapons that could burn through steel. They rounded up people like cattle. Those who ran were shot. Those who fought were killed. Those who surrendered were loaded into transport ships and taken away. The world's armies tried to respond. Fighter jets attacked the alien ships. Missiles flew toward the massive vessels in the sky. But Vorath's shields stopped everything. Human weapons were like toys against their technology. In the first hour, 10,000 soldiers died. In the first day, the number reached 1 million. But not everyone died easily. In Busan, a young captain named Lee Tae refused to surrender. He gathered 200 soldiers in the ruins of a collapsed building and waited. When a Vorath patrol of 50 soldiers walked past, Tae gave the signal. The attack was fast and brutal. Humans burst from the rubble with knives, with rocks, with bare hands. They were not supposed to win. The Vorath had better weapons, better armor, better training. But Lee Tae had something the Vorath did not understand. He had rage. The battle lasted for minutes. When it ended, 48 Vorath soldiers lay dead. 2 had been captured alive. Lee Tae stood over them, covered in alien blood, breathing hard. "Take their weapons," he ordered. "Take their armor. Take everything." Within hours, human engineers were studying the captured technology. Within days, they began to understand it. Within weeks, they started to copy it. The Vorath had given humanity a gift without knowing it. They had shown humans what was possible. High Chancellor Morvac received reports of the Busan incident. He was not worried. Every conquered species fought at first. Every species had their small victories in the beginning. It meant nothing. In the end, they all broke. They all submitted. Humans would be no different. He issued a simple order: increase the pressure, burn more cities, take more prisoners, show them that resistance only brought pain. The Vorath did not understand what they were dealing with. They had conquered hundreds of species across 12 star systems. Some were stronger than humans. Some were smarter. Some had better technology. All of them had eventually surrendered. All of them had accepted their place as servants of the Dominion, but humans were different in a way Vorath could not measure. Humans were stubborn. Humans were creative. And humans had a very long memory for those who wronged them. In sole command, Admiral Kang Seok watched the reports come in. Cities burning. People dying. Families torn apart. He saw videos of children being dragged from their mothers. He saw old people worked to death in alien processing camps. He saw his species being treated like animals. And he made a promise. They will pay, he said to the officers around him. Every death, every tear, every moment of suffering, we will return it to them 1,000 times over. Dr. Park Yuna looked up from her work. Project Horizon will be ready, Admiral. When it is, we will show them something no species in this galaxy has ever seen. And what is that? She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. We will show them what happens when you make humanity angry. Outside, the sky burned orange with fire from 100 destroyed cities. The Vorath thought they had won. They thought Earth was just another conquered world, just another source of slave labor. They had no idea that they had just awakened something terrible, something that would hunt them across the stars, something that would erase their civilization from existence. The first day of the invasion ended with humanity on its knees, but humanity was already planning to rise. 3 months passed. Earth burned. The Vorath controlled every major city, every port, every military base. Billions of humans lived under their rule. Millions had already been shipped off-world to work in Dominion mines and factories. The galaxy looked at Earth and saw another broken species. They saw exactly what humanity wanted them to see, deep beneath the ruins of Sol. A network of tunnels stretched for hundreds of kilometers. These tunnels had been built in secret over 30 years, long before the Vorath arrived. The government had always known that something was out there in the darkness between stars. They had prepared. Commander Bikana walked through these tunnels every day. She was 38 years old, with short black hair and eyes that had seen too much death. Before the invasion, she had been a Special Forces colonel. Now she was the leader of the largest resistance movement in human history. Report, she said to her lieutenant, a young man named Cho Wu. Cho Wu was different from other soldiers. He was small and quiet, more comfortable with computers than guns. But he had discovered something that changed everything. We have successfully connected 12 more people to the Vorath neural network, he said. All 12 took control within minutes. Hannah stopped walking. 12? That fast? Yes, Commander. The Vorath use neural implants to control their ships, their weapons, their communication systems. These implants connect directly to the brain. Every species they have conquered was destroyed by this connection. Their minds could not handle it. They went insane or died, but not us. Cho Wu smiled slightly. Not us. Human brains are different. We adapt. We learn. We take over. He pulled up a holographic display. When a human connects to Vorath technology, something strange happens. Our neural patterns do not just survive the connection. They dominate it. Within hours, humans can control Vorath systems better than the Vorath themselves. This was the secret weapon no one had expected. The Vorath had conquered hundreds of species, but they had never met one whose minds could turn their own technology against them. Meanwhile, beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a base that appeared on no map, Dr. Park Yuna worked without sleep. Project Horizon was almost complete. The massive machine filled an entire underground cavern. It hummed with power that human science said should not exist. Admiral Kang Seok visited her every week. Each time, he looked older. The weight of humanity's survival pressed down on him like a mountain. How much longer? He asked. Yuna wiped sweat from her forehead. 2 days. Maybe 3. The calibration has to be perfect. If we are off by even a fraction, the fleet will end up inside a star instead of above Voroth Prime. No, if the calibration is perfect, then we will appear directly above their homeworld. No warning. No time to react. We will be inside their defenses before they know we exist. Siok nodded slowly. The Voroth High Council has scheduled Earth for sterilization in 30 days. They plan to burn every living thing on the planet and strip it for resources. Yuna's hands stopped moving. 30 days. They're tired of our resistance. They have decided we are more trouble than we are worth. He put his hand on her shoulder. You said you need 3 days? I will give you 3 days. But Yuna, if this machine works, we will not just save humanity. We will show this galaxy what happens when you push humans too far. Above ground, the Vorath continued their work. They did not notice the small changes happening around them. They did not notice that their communication systems sometimes gave wrong information. They did not notice that their patrol routes were slowly being learned and mapped. They did not notice the weapons disappearing from their supply ships. They did not notice, because they did not think it was possible. No conquered species had ever organized resistance on this scale. No primitive world had ever hidden an army from Dominion sensors. The Vorath saw what they expected to see, broken humans accepting their fate in the resistance tunnels. Commander Buchanan trained her soldiers every day. They learned to use Vorath weapons. They learned Vorath language. They learned Vorath tactics. And they waited. A young pilot named O-Rin came to Hannah one evening. She was only 24 years old, but she had already shot down 3 Vorath fighters using a captured aircraft. She was the best pilot the Resistance had. Commander O-Rin said, "The soldiers want to know when we fight. They are tired of hiding." Hannah looked at the young woman. She saw the fire in her eyes. She saw it in all of them. 3 months of watching their people suffer. 3 months of hiding while the world burned. They were ready to explode, soon Hannah said. Very soon. Admiral Siok has a plan. When the time comes, we will not just fight. We will make them wish they had never heard of Earth. O-Rin smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had lost everything and had nothing left to fear. On the final night before the attack, Admiral COX stood in the command center of the hidden Pacific base. Around him, hundreds of officers worked at their stations. The rebuilt Earth fleet waited in underground hangars, ready to launch. Dr. Park Yuna entered the room. "It is done," she said. "Project Horizon is ready." Siok turned to face his officers. These were the men and women who had survived 3 months of hell. They had lost friends, family, entire cities. They had been called slaves, labeled as property, treated as less than animals. "Tomorrow," he said, "we show the Voroth Dominion what a mistake they made. Tomorrow, we appear above their homeworld with fire in our hands. Tomorrow, we begin the end of their empire." The officers saluted. No one spoke. No one needed to. In the tunnels beneath Seoul, Commander Buchanan gathered her resistance fighters. In hidden bases across the world, soldiers prepared their weapons. In orbit, captured Vorath ships waited with human crews at the controls. The galaxy thought humanity was finished. The galaxy was about to learn how wrong it was. The sky above Voroth Prime had been peaceful for 1,000 years. No enemy had ever reached the homeworld. No threat had ever come close. The Great Dominion had spread across 12 star systems, crushing all who stood in its way. The people of Voroth Prime lived without fear, secure in the knowledge that their empire was untouchable. That peace ended in a single heartbeat at exactly midnight. Local time, the sky tore open. There was no warning. There was no approaching fleet detected by sensors. There was no time to raise shields or scramble fighters. One moment, the sky was dark and full of stars. The next moment, it was full of human warships. Admiral Kong Siok stood on the bridge of the flagship Unity of Earth. Around him, 247 ships of the Terran fleet dropped out of the horizon fold. They appeared directly above Voroth Prime, inside all defensive lines, close enough to see the lights of alien cities below. "All ships," COA said into his communicator. "Begin attack." The Voroth had built their defenses to stop threats from outside. Their weapons pointed outward, toward the edges of their system. They had never imagined an enemy appearing in the heart of their territory. By the time they understood what was happening, it was already too late. Colonel Shinjay commanded the assault carrier. Fury of Soul. His ship launched 300 fighters in the first minute. These were not old Earth craft. These were hybrid machines, built using captured Vorath technology and human engineering. They were faster than anything the Vorath had ever seen. All pilots, Shinjay ordered. Primary targets are orbital defense stations. Destroy their eyes first. Among those pilots was Lieutenant Orin. She had waited 3 months for this moment. She had trained every day. She had dreamed of the faces of her parents, taken by Vorath soldiers in the first week of the invasion. Now she had a chance to answer their deaths. Her fighter streaked toward the largest orbital station. Voroth gunners tried to track her, but she was too fast, too unpredictable. She had learned to fly by stealing alien ships and figuring out their controls while being shot at. This felt easy by comparison. She fired her missiles at the station's power core. The explosion was beautiful. Orbital command station destroyed, she reported. Moving to secondary targets? On Vorath Prime, alarms screamed in every city. Citizens looked up and saw fire in the sky. They saw their mighty warships exploding one by one. They saw small human fighters dancing between their defenses like ghosts. Hi. Chancellor Morvac was in his palace when the attack began. He could not believe the reports coming in. Humans. Here. Impossible. The primitive species from Earth had no technology capable of reaching Vorath Prime. They were slaves. They were property. They were nothing. But the explosions in the sky were very real. Send all available ships to intercept, Morvac ordered. Destroy them. Kill every single one of them. The Vorath fleet responded, but they were confused and disorganized. The humans had taken out their command stations first. Communication between ships was chaotic. Captains gave conflicting orders. Ships crashed into each other trying to reach attack positions. Admiral Sayok watched the chaos with grim satisfaction. Launched the ground assault teams. Dropships fell from the larger carriers, burning through the atmosphere. Each ship carried 50 soldiers in black armor, armed with weapons that mixed human determination with Vorath technology. Their mission was simple: capture the High Chancellor alive. Major Yunde led the assault on the palace. He was 40 years old, a veteran of the resistance, a man who had lost his entire family in the invasion. He had volunteered for this mission knowing he might not survive. He did not care. Some things were more important than survival. Move fast, he told his soldiers as they hit the ground. Kill anyone who fights. Our target is the Chancellor. The palace guards were elite Vorath warriors, the best the Dominion had. They had never lost a battle. They had never met humans in close combat. They were not prepared, Yoon. Dazed soldiers fought with a ferocity the Voroth could not understand. These humans did not retreat. They did not surrender. They did not stop. Even when wounded, even when dying, they kept fighting. They had come too far and suffered too much to fail now. Yunde himself reached the Chancellor's chamber. He kicked open the door and found Morvac standing by the window, watching his world burn. You, Morvac said, turning to face the human. How is this possible? You are nothing. You are labor species 7841. You are property. Yunde raised his weapon. Get on your knees. For the first time in his long life, High Chancellor Morvac, ruler of the Vorath Dominion, conqueror of worlds, master of billions, did as he was told. In orbit, the battle was ending. The Vorath fleet had been destroyed or scattered. Their orbital stations were gone. Their communications were dead. In just 3 hours, humanity had done what no other species had accomplished in 1,000 years. Admiral Sayok activated a galaxy-wide broadcast. Every ship, every planet, every species under Vorath control received his message. This is Admiral Kang Sayok of the Terran Fleet. I speak from orbit above Vorath Prime. Your High Chancellor is our prisoner. Your homeworld is under our guns. The species you called slaves, now holds your fate in its hands." He paused, letting his words reach every corner of the Dominion. "You enslaved us. You burned our cities. You took our children. You thought we were weak. You thought we would break. You were wrong." His voice hardened. "We do not forgive. We do not forget. And we are just getting started." He ended the transmission. Across the galaxy, billions of beings watched in stunned silence. Slaves in Dominion camps looked at each other with new hope in their eyes. Rulers of other empires felt a cold chill run through their bodies. Earth had come to collect its debt, and the debt was very, very large. The fall of Vorath Prime sent shockwaves through the galaxy. For 1,000 years, the Dominion had seemed unbreakable. Now its heart lay in human hands. The 12 systems of the Empire began to crack. Slave species who had served in chains for generations saw opportunity. On a dozen worlds, uprisings began. Overseers were killed. Weapons were seized. The fires of rebellion spread faster than any message could travel. But humanity was not satisfied with victory. Humanity wanted justice. Admiral Kang Seok established the Terran Liberation Fleet 1 week after the fall of Vorath Prime. Its mission was simple: free every slave in Dominion space. Destroy every labor camp. Hunt down every Vorath leader who had participated in the crimes against humanity and others. Commander Beekhanna, who had led the resistance in Sol's tunnels, now commanded a fleet of 30 ships. She had never imagined she would stand on the bridge of a warship, leading soldiers across the stars. But she had also never imagined watching her parents die in a processing camp. Life had forced her to become something new. Her first mission took her to the planet Thesserfor, a cold world on the edge of Dominion space. Intelligence said it held one of the largest slave camps in the Empire. Over 3 million beings from 60 different species worked there, mining rare metals in terrible conditions. "Take us in," Hannah ordered. "All ships to combat positions." The small Vorath garrison at Thesserfor tried to fight. They were outnumbered and outgunned. The battle lasted 18 minutes. When it ended, Hannah led her soldiers through the gates of the camp. What she found broke her heart and fueled her rage in equal measure. The slaves were barely alive. They were thin, sick, covered in scars. Many could not walk. Some had been there so long they had forgotten their own names. They looked at the human soldiers with fear at first, expecting more pain than Commander Emhyun, leading the ground forces, removed his helmet. He knelt beside an old being whose species Hannah did not recognize. The creature had 4 eyes and blue skin, stretched tight over fragile bones. "You are free," Emhyun said gently. "The Dominion is falling. We have come to take you home." The old being stared at him. Tears began to fall from all 4 eyes. "Free?" The word came out like it was from a forgotten language. "No one ever comes. No one ever helps. This is how it has always been." "Not anymore," Emhyun said. "Not while humans draw breath." Word of the liberation spread. Other slave worlds sent messages begging for help. The Terran fleet answered every call it could. On world after world, humans brought down Vorath flags and broke open camp gates. Species that had been enemies before the Dominion conquered them now, fought side by side with humans against their common oppressor. Back on Earth, Dr. Park Yuna continued her work. The Horizon Drive had given humanity the stars. Now she was building something even more powerful: the Pulse Network. This system would allow Earth to project military force anywhere in the galaxy instantly. No more traveling between battles. No more waiting. If a world needed help, help would arrive in seconds. "This changes everything," she explained to Admiral Seok during his visit to her laboratory. "With this network, a single fleet can protect 1,000 worlds. No empire will be able to stand against us." Seok looked at the massive machine she had built. "You give us the power of gods, Yuna." "I give us the power to never be enslaved again," she replied. "What we do with it is up to us." To Vorath, Dominion tried to reorganize. The High Council, now operating from a hidden station, sent a message to Earth requesting negotiations. They offered to return all human slaves. They offered to pay compensation. They offered anything humanity wanted. Ambassador No Su, received the message. She was 60 years old, a diplomat who had spent her career building bridges between nations. Now, she was building something very different. She sent her response on an open channel so the entire galaxy could hear. "The Vorath Dominion offers us peace," she said. "They offer to return what they stole. They offer to pay for the lives they destroyed. As if our children have a price. As if our dead can be bought." Her voice grew cold. "Here is humanity's response. Dismantle your empire. Free every slave. Surrender every leader who ordered the enslavement of any species. Do this within 60 days, or we will do it for you." The Vorath refused. They believed they could still win. They gathered their remaining forces and prepared for a final stand at a fortified position near the edge of their territory. Was the worst decision they ever made. The Pulse Network came online 3 days before the battle. The Vorath expected a conventional attack. They expected to have time to prepare, to use their defenses, to make the humans pay for every inch of ground. Instead, human ships appeared inside their formation, not approaching from outside, but materializing among them. Weapons fired at point-blank range. Ships exploded before their crews knew they were under attack. The final stand became a final slaughter. Within 1 year of the invasion of Earth, the Vorath Dominion existed only in history books. Admiral Vorath stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the last Vorath military base burn. Around him, officers reported victory after victory from across what had been Dominion space. "A young officer said. "Representatives from over 200 species are requesting to meet with us. They want to discuss the future." Siok nodded slowly. Humanity had started as slaves. Now they were the most powerful force in this part of the galaxy. The question was, what would they do with that power? He thought of the camps he had seen, the broken bodies, the stolen children, the species who had suffered for centuries under Vorath rule. "Tell them we will meet," he said. "We have much to discuss." The galaxy was changing, and humanity would decide what it became. 2 years had passed since the Vorath first darkened Earth's sky. In that time, everything had changed. The Dominion was gone. Its worlds were free. Its slaves walked as free beings for the first time in generations, and humanity stood at the center of a new galactic order. The Great Assembly Hall on Earth was built in the ruins of Sol, on the exact spot where the Vorath had established their main processing center. The symbolism was intentional, where humans had once been sorted into chains. Representatives from 300 species now gathered to discuss the future. Admiral Kong Siok stood at the central podium. He wore the simple uniform of the Terran Defense Force. No medals, no decorations. He did not need symbols of power. Everyone in the room knew what he had done. Everyone in the galaxy knew his name. The assembly fell silent as he began to speak. 2 years ago, he said, a message was broadcast to Earth. We were told that we were property. Labor species 7,841. We were told that resistance was not possible. We were told that our only future was in chains. Paused and looked around the room. He saw representatives from dozens of species he had helped liberate. He saw beings who had been slaves for centuries. He saw children of species who had almost been wiped out entirely. The Vorath believed they knew what humans were. They believed we were weak. They believed we were simple. They believed that when we saw their power, we would submit like all the others. He shook his head slowly. They did not understand us at all. In the front row sat the heroes of the liberation. Dr. Park Yuna. His brilliant mind had turned impossible science into reality. Commander Buchanan, whose resistance had kept hope alive in the darkest times. Colonel Shin Jae, whose pilots had torn open the defenses of Vorath Prime. Lieutenant Orin, who had become a legend among the stars. Major Yunde, who had dragged the High Chancellor from his throne. They had all lost something in the war. They had all paid a price that could never be repaid. But they had one. Humanity does not seek to rule this galaxy, CO continued. We do not want your worlds. We do not want your resources. We do not want your submission. His voice grew harder. But I will tell you what we do want. We want peace. Real peace. Peace where no being is treated as property. Peace where no child is torn from their family. Peace where no species is crushed beneath the boot of another. The representatives listened in complete silence. Many of them had ruled empires of their own. Many of them had taken slaves. Many of them had done terrible things in the name of power. They looked at the human standing before them and felt something they had not felt in a very long time. Fear. The Vorith Dominion lasted 1,000 years, Siok said. They believed they would last forever. They believed their power made them safe. They were wrong. He leaned forward. We erased them in 2 years. Their empire is dust. Their leaders are dead or imprisoned. Their very name is becoming a warning to others. He let the weight of those words settle over the room. Humanity has learned something in these past 2 years. We have learned that power without justice is tyranny. We have learned that strength without mercy is cruelty. We have learned that the galaxy is full of suffering that nobody was willing to stop. He straightened and looked directly at the representatives. We are willing. From this day forward, the Terran Alliance will protect any species that asks for protection. We will free any people held in chains. We will hunt any empire that trades in living beings. His voice rose. And to any civilization that thinks humans are soft, that thinks we will forget, that thinks they can do what the Vorith did and escape justice. Remember what you see in this room. Remember what happened to the Dominion. Remember that we found them across the stars, and we made them pay for every single life they destroyed. The assembly remained silent. No one moved. No one dared. After the speech, ambassadors from dozens of species approached Siok with requests. Some wanted protection. Some wanted alliance. Some simply wanted to thank him for saving their people. He listened to all of them. Late that night, he walked through the memorial garden built beside the assembly hall. Each stone represented 1,000,000 human lives lost in the invasion. There were too many stones. Dr. Park Yuna found him there. You spoke well today, she said. I meant every word. She stood beside him, looking at the stones. Do you think we did the right thing? Becoming what we have become. Siok was quiet for a long moment. When I was young, my grandfather told me a story. He said that when darkness comes, some people hide from it. Some people accept it. And some people become a light so bright that the darkness itself burns away. He touched one of the memorial stones gently. We did not choose this. They chose it for us. All we did was refuse to accept it. And now, the galaxy fears us, good Siok said. Let them fear us. Fear will keep them honest. Fear will make them think twice before they hurt the weak. Fear will protect the next species that might have become slaves if we had lost. Across the galaxy, the name of Earth spread. Traders told stories of the human fleet that could appear anywhere without warning. Slaves whispered about the soldiers who broke open camps and asked for nothing in return. Children of 100 species grew up hearing about the small blue world that had challenged the mighty. Borathan won. A saying emerged, repeated in 1,000 languages on 10,000 worlds. Never enslave a human. They do not break. They do not forget. They do not forgive. And no matter how far you run, no matter how long you hide, they will find you. They will always find you. The Vorith Dominion had tried to make humanity into slaves. Instead, they had created something far more dangerous. They had created the protectors of the galaxy, and the galaxy would never be the same.